we'd hear like Carlton Sheets come on TV and talk about how you can buy a house with none of your own money, blah, blah, blah. And my mom was like, what do you think of that? I said, I don't know, I never heard of that. I was just, 17 years old or something going, I don't know, it doesn't sound like you could do that. But nowadays, I learned, obviously you can, and that's what I do. Okay, so all I do is buy properties with none of my own money. I haven't written a check to buy a property since 2009. And in 2009, it was a different situation where I had an abundance of cash and I wanted to use some of it for some particular properties that I really wanted to buy, and I still own them today. But, I don't have to. Whether I had the cash available or not, I don't have to use my money. It's an option. Do I want to use mine? Do I want to use somebody else's? Preferably, all of my money goes into real estate anyway, but I'd rather use somebody else's if I can, right? But I sort of would do both, I imagine. Okay, I do it without the support of banks, meaning that I don't need a bank to look at my deals at all. I don't call them, I don't talk to them, I'm not interested in them. I'm tired of those guys. They view me as a risk, which I find hilarious. They were willing to lend me money 20 years ago when I didn't know a damn thing about this business and I didn't have a net worth of anything and I barely made no money. They were willing to lend me lots of money back then, as long as I had a paycheck. Okay? But now that I'm 25 years in the business and established myself, they don't want anything to do with me. I have too many properties. I have debt-to-income ratios that they're not comfortable with, whatever the heck that means. I don't even know. To me, it's silly. It's just ridiculous, okay? I get to keep the properties, meaning that flippers or wholesalers, they buy houses, and the only way that they can make money off of that house is they have to wholesale that house to somebody else, or they have to fix up that house and sell it in order to get paid. But if you could get paid to buy the houses, well, then you're not limited by that strategy. I still use those strategies, but it's at my option to decide if I want to use those strategies or not. So when I buy a house, typically my first option is buy and hold. My second option would be I could wholesale this deal before I even settle on it, or I could settle on it, maybe do a flip later on, or sometimes I do what I call a deferred flip, where I'll buy the property, I'll rent it out for a year, then I'll sell it to somebody else later on. I have enough properties that it doesn't make sense to sell the ones I just bought because then short-term capital gains, where if I hold it for a period of time, I can avoid the capital gains. When you have enough properties, you don't sell the ones you just bought, you sell the ones you bought 2 years ago if you want to get rid of one, and you avoid taxes that way. Okay? So, the secret is right here. Buy it with none of your own money. Buy it without the support of the banks. Keep the properties if you want to keep them and get paid to buy them. So let's get on talking about it. Okay. So the first and best way, and something that you're going to need in most of the real estate deals that you do, if you're going to try to buy houses with none of your own money, is you need to raise private money. Okay? You need to learn about it. You need to begin to do it. You need to get comfortable with the idea. And so let's talk about that today. Because I maintain everything in this business is easy. It's so easy. The first obstacle I hear all the time is private money. I don't know anyone with private money. I don't know any millionaires and blah, 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 blah. And the attitude, it just kills everything. It's not like that. I'm not looking for millionaires. Millionaires are a pain in the butt. They've already made money. They think they know everything. They want to control everything. I'm looking for a nice mom and pop couple who wants to make some nice rate of return on their $150,000. Maybe they're not comfortable with the stock market. Maybe they're not comfortable with the government borrowing $17 trillion. Maybe they're not comfortable with the situation in Europe, and they want something that they can understand, something that they feel comfortable with. Everybody understands real estate. Everybody lives in a house. It's easy to understand. You lend money on a house. You put a first position mortgage secured against a piece of real estate. You are safe. There's equity behind it. It's easy. And you have to understand that if you have an attitude where you're confident in what it is that you're asking people to do, which all you're asking them to do is finance a real estate deal for which you are going to take over all the responsibility, and they're going to just get paid an interest rate on their money. Okay? So, how do you do this? Well, first of all, you got to talk to people. You can't be, introverted. You got to get out there. You got to talk to people. You got to tell people what it is that you do. One of the reasons that I do these speaking gigs is because I raise money this way. I've got some books over there I sell for $20. I have some other products that I sell between $200 and $2,000. That's my most expensive product over there. And what happens to me so many times is I'll go out to a speaking gig, I'll sell a couple $1,000s in buyer's briefcases, which is a product I develop for people. I'll sell some books for a couple $100. That's nice. I like to sell books. I like to tell my story. But the best thing that'll happen is somebody will come up to me after the meeting and they'll go, hey man, I really like what you were talking about. You know, can we go hang out somewhere, go play golf or whatever? You get to develop a relationship with somebody, and maybe that person ends up lending me $250,000 for a real estate deal. Just like that. And it's, you know, it helps to be a speaker and to be an author and all that stuff. I'm not saying it's going to be that easy for you in the beginning. It wasn't that easy for me in the beginning, but you can do it because most of the people who are going to lend you money are the people who already know you, like you, trust you. You got a relationship with them already. They know you. That's why they're going to lend you the money, because they feel good about you. You're an honorable person. You're somebody that they trust, okay? So here's a little tip I tell people if you're trying to raise private money. Say I'm at a party and somebody will say to me, you know, what do you do for a living, Phil? Well, I can say a lot of things. I'm a real estate investor. I'm an author, blah, blah, blah. But the best thing that you want to say, I don't care what you do for a living, the best thing you want to say is you say, I raise private money for amazing real estate deals. And then you shut up. Just let it sink in. Don't talk anymore. Just say, I raise private money for amazing real estate deals. Please steal that line from me. That line has raised me millions of dollars. And stop talking. I swear the next thing they're going to say is, what do you mean? Tell me more about that. How does that work? And then there's your opening. You've got them asking you questions about what you do. People only remember, what do they say? They only remember 90% of what you, or they remember 10% of what you say and 90% of what they say. So get them asking you the questions so that they want to know more about what you do. That line works, and it works beautifully. And I don't care if you're borrowing 20 grand or 2 million, it doesn't matter, it works, okay? So what I do is I meet people, I collect their business cards, I create a list of their names, all right? So, for example, I use Gmail, and I have Gmail contacts, and I go into contacts, and I have a category for private lenders. I have a category for real estate investors. If any of you give me your business card, I hope you do, you're a real estate investor in my database. If you indicate to me you might be a private lender, you're a private lender in my database. And then what happens is when I have particular deals that I'm looking to raise money, or I'm looking for a partner, or I'm looking for an investor to wholesale it to, or I'm looking for somebody to flip it to, or whatever, I have you categorized in a manner for which I can use your contact information to help me and to help you. And that's what everybody should be doing. So collecting and creating a list. This is easy stuff. Anybody can do this. I don't care what kind of business you're in. You need to have the right things to say, the right attitude. You need to be collecting names. You need to be organizing it. This is just basic stuff. It has nothing to even do with real estate. You know, it helps to have credibility. Hopefully you're a credible individual. You're an honorable individual. Okay? And, you know, and I strive every day to do that. I try to, my reputation is incredibly important to me. Nobody's going to lend me money if I'm going around doing unscrupulous things. So you have to be an honorable person in this business. This real estate investing world is a small community. Okay? If you do something rotten with somebody, you do a lousy deal and you screw somebody, word's going to get out real quick. Okay, so you certainly don't want that to happen. Credibility is very important. I already said, know you, like you, trust you. That's where most of your money comes from. Family. People say, well, I don't want to get involved in family. I don't want to borrow money from family. I call my family members all the time and tell them about real estate deals I'm doing. And I tell them, I say, hey, look, you know, I care about you. You're in my family. I want you to put your money in great investments. That's why I'm calling you, because I know this is a tremendous deal. I can get the money somewhere else, but I'd rather it be my family. And some of my family members were very, very hesitant to ever get involved in anything with them. And one of them in particular, 3 years of talking until they finally lent me some money. Now they're like, they want another deal right now. You know, it doesn't work like that. They kind of come when they come. But here's something I always tell people. What's the smack yourself in the forehead single greatest resource for private lenders? Okay? It's your cell phone. Right? Just grab your cell phone, grab your email data list of all the people that you already know, and take your time. Just go through your phone slowly. And go, You know, who are these people? How do I know them? You know, it's possible they might be interested in a deal like this. Just start calling them. Take your time. Don't look for millionaires. Just look for people. It's a people business. Just look for people. You know, there's plenty of people today who have a net worth, money somewhere, you know, 100,000, 150,000. That's tremendous. That's enough to do a couple of good row homes or a nice suburban house. And they would love to be able to make that kind of money. I literally had a guy, what day was it? I think it was Wednesday. It was Tuesday this week. I sat with a guy who told me he had $2 million in the bank and making 1%. This is what he did with his finger. He said, I'm making 1% on my money. What do you think came out of my mouth next? I said, dude, I got a $900,000 project right now. You could finance in Sarasota, and I'll pay you 7% interest only on it, and I can have that deal wrapped up in a week. I already own the buildings. I just need to. I borrowed hard money to do this deal, okay, at an expensive rate. Now I'm looking for somebody to refi it on 7% interest, and I'm offering an equity position in the properties, or I'll just pay the 7% interest only. So I said, you know, there you go. How's that for a good lunch meeting? I'll get you 7